Thomas Davis is the broker and owner of Abode Charleston. We completed the brokerage's setup in Follow Up Boss back in August of 2024, so last year. We focused on doing some cleanup of his lead flow, helping them organize their stages, putting in automations and systems. And Thomas is here today to share his experience with the setup and with our team, what it looked like before, during, and afterward. And so, Thomas, I'm really thankful that you are open and willing to have this conversation. Thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
So this is one of my two favorite questions that I like to ask. First off, how did you originally enter the real estate space?
Okay, so that go back to 2009. The real estate space was it was bleak, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But I was in commercial lending at the time, and that had yet to fall on hard times. We had about a 2 year lag time between when real estate fell and when commercial lending really hit the low. So I was spending a lot of time with my cousin, who is a realtor here in town, and we would compare notes on what we're doing in life and work. And he just basically was saying, "Hey, we're at the bottom." He didn't think that there was any way we were going to go further down in real estate. And I knew that at the bank, fingers were starting to get pointed. It was starting to get ugly, and the ship was taking on water, and it was on its way down too.
Mm-hmm.
I decided that, hey, what I can do, I had a 6-month-old baby girl at home. And so this was probably a stupid decision, based on everything. But at the time, I figured there was no better, no
Can't
better
get any
motivation.
worse.
Yeah, no better motivation to get up out of my chair and do something for myself and my family than at that moment. I left the bank, got into real estate, working with my cousin, and then here we are, 16 years later.
So whenever you joined forces with your cousin, did your cousin have a team or was it just a two-partner endeavor?
He had a team, so he had a very good website that he had developed 5 or 6 years before, and it was getting a ton of just natural leads, natural placement. And he spent a lot of time and energy on that. And so stepping in, it was a great situation for me because I was getting, it was probably 25, 30 leads a week, so that kept me pretty busy. Some days you'd have 15 to 20 just in one day.
Wow.
And there was a team of 6 or 7 of us. So there was a lot of volume of leads coming in. Um, and it took me about, 3 or 4 months to get traction, which I think is pretty standard for anybody. And, once that happened, it was off to the races.
That's cool. Well, that's nice you're able to just plug into someone's system that was already had gears in motion. So you mentioned like you got 15, 20 leads a month or a week, sometimes even a day. Where did your first deal come from? Did it come from one of those leads or someone you knew personally?
It did. It came from one of those leads. It took probably, 2 months to get them into town. This was a guy that was moving here right out of college, and his parents were helping him out. And it was, the numbers sound crazy now, but it was like $107,000 house, maybe 10 minutes outside of Charleston, which good luck finding that now. But, so, worked on that, got that closed. And then I think that year I ended up with 26 closed deals
Wow.
after. So that was, in total, I think I started in like October of the year before. That closed in maybe early February, and then 25 more deals in that year. So it kind of, it was all piling up as that was going on. You know how this business goes, and so that's
Hmm.
just you spend 3 or 4 months calling people, and that's kind of
And then all of a
maybe
sudden it starts working out.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you joined forces with your cousin's team in 2009.
Mhm.
Um, can you share a little bit about your journey of how you went from that to opening your own brokerage?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So 2009, you're cutting your teeth, and all those deals were fairly small. I would say in 25 or 26 deals, I have all this information somewhere, but I think it was maybe $5 million in volume. It wasn't a lot for that many deals. And again, price point back then was a lot different. But
Hmm.
steadily progressed over the next 3 years, and then had some. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Kiowa Island, but it's a world class resort, and it's a 10-mile long island on right off of Charleston. It's hosted the PGA Championships 3 times now. Wait,
Hmm.
no, twice. I think they've got a third one coming up. At any rate, a huge opportunity arose. I took it. I went out to Key Island real estate where let's say the average price point in Charleston was 400,000. The average price point out there was 1.2. And that, fast forward so many years later, it's probably around $3.5, $4 million now is the average out there. So I joined out to Key Island real estate, spent 7 years out there cutting my teeth, learning the luxury market, luxury marketing, how to really go in circles with people that were, these are Fortune 500 CEOs. These are world-renowned actors, musicians. Anybody and everybody that you've ever. The Rolodex is pretty impressive if you go through it. And a lot of those people, I still, we talk trash about college football to each other. Guys that are on their private jets flying around the world, and I'm sitting there just talking trash about their college football team with them. So that my experience out there really helped me to understand. And I guess I'd always grown up this way a lot because I've spent a lot of time moving around and meeting new people all the time. But how people like to be treated, that really helped teach me how they don't want all these people are surrounded by people that just want to say yes to them all the time because of who they are and their station and their stature. And I just don't do that. And so that really in my mind, it really endeared me to a lot of them and has led to relationships that have been going for 14, 15 years, or 13 years now. But so went to Key Island real estate for 7 years, and around the time I turned 39, I read an article that said most everybody that forms a successful company in life, or a hugely successful company in life, does so at 40. So that's the average when you start your company. That Henry Ford, I think, started at 40. Those kind of things. So you take all of that into account and you start looking at your life of, hey, where do I want to spend my time? Do I want to spend it at this office out on this island, or do I want to spend it with my family and then building something that more represents me and what I want in life? And so the timing and everything worked out. Part of that is also, I think every single member of my family owns and runs their own business. So it was just something I'd been around my entire life, something I really wanted to do. I started giving it a lot of thought. Probably 2018, went and got my broker's license during a couple slow weeks out at Kiowa. And late 2019, I just made the decision to go ahead and go for it and started Abode. I think it was October 2019 or November 2019.
How hard was that to not only do that transition, but to start your own business, to start your own brokerage?
It was a lot more difficult than I was planning for. I mean, you think, okay, I get my license, I get some agents on board, and then you're off to the races.
Mm-hmm.
You go in with you're naive for one. You're not really prepared for everything that comes along with it. But I think if you've got the right mindset about it and you've got the right ideas and ideals set in your business plan and in who you are, I think that you can lean on that a lot when you're going through it, because the amount of paperwork, the amount of just the small stuff, connecting all your software, doing all this stuff for the first time by yourself without anybody helping guide you, you are kind of just feeling your way through the dark. And when something messes up, you're like, oh, okay, now I know I got to do that. And so it takes a
Learn
few
from
months.
mistakes.
Yeah, it takes a few months. And I love learning from mistakes. I mean, I don't like making mistakes, but try and make them once, learn from them, and keep moving on. But it was a lot more difficult than I was planning, or had thought it would be. Recruiting agents has always been a lot more difficult for me than I would have thought it would have been. Just the all the aspects that go along with this are very time consuming and can wear you down if you don't have that. I'm doing this for a very good reason. I'm doing this for basically what I did was I wanted all the businesses that I'd been a part of always had a lot of overhead. They always had a lot of reasons for making their decisions other than what was best for their client. I decided that what I'm going to do is let nothing ever get in the way of what is best for the client. Meaning, I'm not going to have a big office that costs me a lot of money to where I can't negotiate my splits, to where I can't negotiate my, or, that's on the agent side, but I can't negotiate my commissions. I can't do what's best for my client at any given moment because I've got the weight of some bill that's coming due on my side of the, in the business. So eliminating all of that and really making sure that it's 100% focused on the client was my goal. And that's the way we've been since we started.
So today, are you still in production as well as running the brokerage, or have you been able to step away from that?
I don't ever want to step away from production. I think that I learn a lot from production. I think I'm able to teach my agents a lot because I learned, and I think anybody who's been doing this for a long time we all say, every deal's different. So you learn something new each and every deal you do. So if I wanted to not be able to pass along that information or that knowledge to my agents, I think I'd be doing a disservice to them by stepping out of production and not continuing to learn myself and grow and be a better person, better agent, better father, husband, all of those things that come with all these, the trials of going through all of these deals every year help you to learn, the things that you don't know and your own faults. So going through those, I think is hugely important for me to be able to teach. And that's my primary role it's to teach. And then, obviously we're all protect the public, but I think in doing the teaching, I am doing the protecting. So, my production has remained, I'm between 15 and 20 million a year. I don't really want to go too far above 20 because then it becomes I don't have as much time for my agents. I don't have as much time for my family.
Yeah.
And frankly, you know, enough's enough at some point of what you have
Yeah.
in life. And I'm pretty happy with where I am.
Yeah. So, do you have, I guess, tell me an overall picture of what your company looks like? How many agents do you have? Do you have any supporting staff in-house or virtually? What does that look like?
So I'm fortunate. I'll kind of reverse. I'll go in that in reverse. My wife is a former marketing director for Coca-Cola. She was featured in Forbes a few years ago. So I have her to lean on for digital marketing, PR, all of those things.
Wow.
She's very successful in helping people out with that. She helps mainly women-owned businesses, but she's my in-house, right? She can't tell me no. So um,
Hmm.
so that's my only assistance. Everything else is on me. I do all
Wow.
the accounting, the making sure that we're in line with compliance, licensing, all the other parts of the business are on me. I have given some thought to hiring somebody, and once I get to maybe 10 or 15 agents, I will. I'm currently sitting on 6 agents, and I like that size a lot, but I do want to add another, 10 to 15 agents that are producing 5 to 10 million. And that's a really good sweet spot in the boutique market here in Charleston.
Yeah.
That you've got enough volume and enough power behind you to be able to speak your mind and have a little bit of say in things, and the direction this whole industry heads, at least locally. So I mean that's the plan, but right now it's just basically all on me. My wife having her part in marketing and all that, but that's it other than me.
Wow. Okay, so you're both in production and managing your brokerage and everything that comes alongside of it. I guess, what does your day to day look like? Is it just you're running around like a chicken with its head cut off, or do you have a day that's pretty structured and you're not working 80-hour weeks?
Well, I can tell you I've done both. The chicken with its head cut off is a first couple years mistake.
Yeah.
And then you start time blocking. I think has been an enormous help for me. 15 years ago, I read Ninja Selling. I can tell you that is an enormous help to anybody getting into the business. I'd read that day one while you're getting your license. Before you get your license, read that, live it, and you will never regret it. I think what falls in line with this conversation is the book Exactly What to Say. I would say read that a dozen times. Get the one that's just for real estate agents as well. Read it a dozen times. Learn it. These things really, really matter. and they're extremely helpful with how you get through all of this. But to answer the question, I was running around with my head cut off for a couple of years. I started really paying attention to my daily workflow, my daily, personal needs, my family's needs, and all that. And the time blocking really helped me be able to fit it all in and actually be a lot more productive with it than it was when I was just running around jumping from email to next inbox. The letting my inbox control my day. That did not work very well, and I still catch myself doing it every now and then. But I'm at least 50% better than I was, which I think that's a good step.
That is a big, yeah, it's a big improvement. Yeah, same here with, I guess, being more, they call it like reactive,
Mhm.
rather than proactive, learning to do that reverse. I think that's just like it's either a bad habit or our natural tendency to, because we're always wanting stimulation or whatever is the reason. Like, that's just my default state where I'm like, oh, let me just open email. Oh gosh, now I'm overwhelmed and I have to answer these. That's definitely a big hurdle that a lot of business owners have to overcome.
I think it's addictive, right? I mean, you see a fire, you put it out. You see the next fire, you put it out, and you think you're being productive, but at the same time, all the fuel that's going into those fires is what you should be paying attention to, not the fire itself will extinguish it itself if you focus on the little stuff that led to it. So it is the reactive proactive thing that you just mentioned. That I think you got to really focus on the process, and then those fires kind of take care of themselves most of the time.
Yeah, good point. Figure out the root cause.
Mhm.
So, uh, could you share what technology you use to support your business, technology and or companies?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So Follow Up Boss, obviously love Follow Up Boss. I think that's been a huge part of the past 3 or 4 years of success. And I can tell you this, I tried them all. I went through every one of them. I spent thousands and thousands of dollars on these things, trying them out because the free trials and the little halfway showing you things for whatever they just that doesn't cover it. So you got to buy them, you got to get into them, you got to really feel them out and spend 6 months to a year working with them until you learn it's either for me or not. Follow Boss was huge for me. It does everything I want to and more. On top of that, we use Real Scout, which is a kind of an AI driven market search engine. Um, it's very helpful. It connects directly with Follow Balls, tells me everything that they're doing online, and really gives helps me keep track of my leads and what they're doing on a daily basis online as far as their home search goes. It gives a lot of nudges to me and things like that let me know like who do I need to call today. They've looked at this house 3 times today, or within the last 24 hours they've looked at this house X number of times. Those kind of things. On top of that, Dot Loop for document retention, Mailchimp for mailers. Uh, that's I'm looking at my tabs right now, making sure I'm not missing something. Uh, that's it. Those are the big ones. Then Google Drive for backup document retention, and then just all one-off projects.
Where does the majority of your brokerage's business come from? Is it lead gen? Is it organic?
It's organic. So I think along with everybody that's ever gotten into this business, I did paid leads. I found out that I'd spend $1, I'd make $1.15. And that
Mm,
15 cents is not good enough to keep you going, right? You can't spend $10,000 and only make $1,500 off of that investment. It just doesn't work.
yeah.
So what I decided to do was go full in on relationships, full in on Sphere. Um, so my relationships with other agents that I've worked with in the past, that can't do the business that I'm doing, relationships with prior clients, relationships with people that I've known for a while. And I mean, I volunteer a lot. I do coaching. I volunteered at MUSC here in town for a while. It, Community involvement's huge for me. I have slipped up, and I know it. I've slipped up for the past probably 12 months on it, but because I've fallen on the cycle of work and family life, and not finding the time to do it like I used to. But at least I'm aware that I'm falling on it, and I need to pick it back up next year, and I will. but to me, that's the only way to actually truly succeed in this business. If you go around chasing paid leads, you're going to just be doing that forever. So you really have to find what is a much more, well, a less volatile base of business, and that comes from the people that you know. And you've really got to make sure that they are promoting you. So it's not just, hey, how you just don't call them up. I take people to lunch all the time. I take other brokers in town to lunch all the time, because if they've got an agent that applies to them, and it's not a fit for them, but it might be a fit for me, they'll call me and say, hey, here's Susie, whatever, take a look, give her a call, take her to lunch, whatever. So I rely on those relationships for a lot. I can tell you, I didn't do any of the legal documentation to start my business. I borrowed it from other agencies around town because I'm friends with a lot of brokers. They said, "Hey, I paid a lawyer 15 grand for this. You can have it for free." Those kind of things are huge as you go along through this business, and huge as you go along through life is the people that you can lean on and that surprise you every day. I get phone calls, once, I'd say every other week, of somebody saying, "Hey, such and such person that maybe I haven't talked to in 6 months told me that I had to call you. We're listing our house, or we're looking to move to Charleston," or whatever. And so, those kind of things they're just, you can't even state the importance of them, because I took somebody to lunch and I get, two or three deals from it over the course of 2 or 3 years. The amount of time put into keeping and maintaining these relationships is again, I just can't. This part's going to get edited out. I already can tell, but you just can't overstate the return on investment when it comes to actually getting in front of people and spending time with them and letting them know that you care. And it's not just say, "Hey, I'm here to get your business and your referrals." I'm here because I care about you. I care about your children. I care about the things that you care about in life. And how can I make any of those better for you? That's what makes them remember you. Not, "Hey, I sent you a freaking mug with my company's name on it." Like, that just
Yeah.
doesn't play, right? They got to actually know they're never going to buy with Thomas if they don't buy Thomas.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. So, as I was preparing for this call, I was taking a look. I think you've been using Follow Up Us since like 2020, and then we started working together last year, 2024. Do you remember how you originally heard about Key Technology and how we got connected?
I think so. So I'll go back. I started Follow Up Boss in 2020. That was like a trial, and it was in
Mm,
that run of trying all of them. And then I think 2 years later, I came back to them and started using them full time. So, a
okay.
little bit of a gap there, but yes, I did start trying. Key Technology came up. As I mentioned before, I read the book, Exactly What to Say, and I freaking love it. It's an amazing, it's an easy read. It's almost common sense things that you would think that you would think of your own, but you don't. So it's been huge in how I have conversations and how I've started to build out emails. Well, having read that, and I don't know exactly if it was an email from y'all or tied through Follow Up Boss or how it came to be, but within that first email, it mentioned something about exactly what to say. Or I did some research on you, and one of the first things I read was the exactly what to say part of y'all's business, and that immediately I was sold. I said, I know I love this. If that's how they're building out their drip campaigns and all their templates, then I'm in. Because honestly, that's the way I was trying to do it, and I'm sitting there by myself thinking, okay, I've got, I don't know, 250 different emails to write, and I'm supposed to do them in this tone
Yeah.
and the way this is formatted, and it was well worth it to call y'all.
So before we started working together, had you built out anything in Follow Up Boss? How were you using it?
Some things, yes. I'd spent some time building out drip campaigns, mainly using their templates, lightly edited by me. Some of them redone, but most of them just lightly edited by me, and letting them run. And without really much success in letting it just run on the back end. Just saying, okay, that's just at least keeping a touch point between today and whenever I call them and talk to them. But when you've got 4,000, 5,000 people in your database, you start to uh, lose track of some folks, right? It's just you just can't keep up with them, and not a lot of people even want to be contacted that much. Um, so no, I had not really done much development of the Follow Up Boss follow up system as I would have liked. But when I saw y'all, I was like, okay, this is a very quick way to get there.
So then after, or guys, during and then after implementing and turning on the setup in your CRM, can you share like what changed either within the CRM or the way that you and your team worked within Follow Boss?
Yeah, so I can say that my team is some of them are technology adverse, right? So I think we all have
Mm.
those people on our teams. I hope you don't. I do. um, but it's taken some time to get some of them to adapt to just using something other than paper and pen. But this has gone a long way because I can show them before, the beforehand open rates, the after open rates, which I think that you had mentioned. It's I didn't know that number. What was it, 2,000% or something like that? Oh, it was over 2,000%.
Response went up 2000%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So crazy. And, I'm the kind of person that I would like, even if the response is I'm not interested anymore, that's a good response because that is one less person that I have to think about or pull through my call list and say,
Yeah.
oh, I got to call them. That saves me 30 seconds of my day just calling them. But if you add that up over the 100 people that have had that response or whatever, the time starts to add up, right? So it's time that's
Yeah.
being given back to me in my life. But the response rates have been through the roof since we joined on with y'all. Um, and I said the negative stuff. What they're saying we're not interested, but that's a small part of it. But it is still the bad stuff is still good. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I wanted to share some more of those. So, where did you go? There you are. So, we implemented officially in August of 2024. And so we did comparisons of different time periods. So if we compare the last part of 2024 after implementation, so September through December, if we compare that period of time to May to August, so before we started working together, just simply having that structure, I think, of the CRM, getting that buy-in from your agents and getting that workflow of they know who to call. The calls from agents, the amount of calls they made went up 587%.
Mhm.
And as a result, the appointments set went up 350%. And then that's where also overall response rate from leads went up 2,000%. Specific to email and text, it's 93% and 170%. Then we went to the first half of 2025 compared to that block of September to December of the last year. Appointments still went up an additional 22%. So from the beginning, that's what, 372% since before implementation for appointments going up overall.
Well, it's actually more than that uh, because it'd be 22% on top of the well, whatever you can.
Yeah, I'm bad at math, so yeah. But good to point that out. And then percent of leads responding went up an additional 36%. So that's whatever 93 plus 36 is. So that's now over 100%. And the percent of leads responding over phone went up an additional 100%. So now you're over 200% or almost, yeah, over 200%. Just like 275% since before we started working together. So it's hard to explain, but basically each time you were increasing more and more. So even though like 36% is less than 93%, it's because it's saying, oh, it went up an additional 36% and
Mhm.
kind of adding those together. So that's really impressive. And then the overall engagement rate, response rate with some of our plans people returning back to your website, and then we engage with them through an automation, an 87% engagement rate. So that means either the lead responded to one of the automated messages or your agents reached them whenever they popped up and were prompted to call those leads. You said that a lot of your business and traffic is organic. So that's the next group of people who come to your website and inquire, most likely from like the contact form or general inquiry. That's a 75%. This is a really big number I don't see often. Usually it's like 20%. Y'all are really good at nurturing. The nurture buyer is 66%. That's just so astronomically higher than what I normally see. And then stale, so those are leads that you have no idea who they are or they ghosted you, is 17%. So those are really awesome numbers.
The nurtured, is that because we have, just to know your definition of that, is that we've got a drip set up for them as far as like houses, like an MLS drip? Is that what you mean?
No, so nurture buyer means you've staged someone as hot, warm, or cold because you've had a conversation.
Yeah.
And so we've got a nurture campaign running of emails outside of MLS, outside of Real Scout. But the agents are also calling because they're in a nurture list. So it's a combination of either they're responding to the emails and or the agents are continuing their own required follow-up and calling them, having conversations.
So I actually had one of my agents now that you say that, I know what we're talking about. I had one of my agents who had some spare time go through and contact all the other agents and put them in the correct stages and correct tags and things like that. So that might be why that number is a good bit, because I had somebody basically on that full time for months.
Nice. There you go. That's why it's so much higher, is because you had someone dedicated. Most people, they don't have dedicated time, and so many leads just get stuck in, the abyss. They get stuck in a lead stage and they're not being called, they're not being nurtured. The next thing I wanted to share, we pulled a lead example of just someone responding to one of the automated emails. It just asks, like, are you open-minded to the possibility of buying or selling in the near future? And they responded, yes, I'm open to buying in South Carolina. So the agent who was assigned to the person responded right away, gathered more information, began sending properties through Real Scout, and then had a conversation and had multiple conversations, which I'll recap, but essentially had conversations with the clients, continued to send property. January of this year went under contract, and now they're a past client. I have a typo here, but I looked at the overall total here. There was a total of 40 manual emails sent back and forth. That's not automated. 91 text messages. So a lot of communication over text, but also 36 calls. I didn't gather the total talk time, but that's a lot of conversations with one person to get to closing. And then I think only like 16 automated emails. So once that person responded, a lot of the work was, like you mentioned earlier, what's super important to you and for your brokerage is to maintain that relationship and have that buy-in to trust Thomas in order to work with Thomas, or to trust Mary in order to work with Mary. That is case in point here of how much communication she did with this client to get them to closing.
Yeah, I 100% agree. You can't overstate you can't just show that you care. You got to actually care. And your level of communication with them, in that case, that, it looks like almost overly communicative, but you've got to be that if they're going to really trust you. And then of course, all that flows into the next thing, which is they're going to refer you. And that's where the real money in this business comes from, is referrals. So if you knock it out of the park with somebody, and you follow up with them and keep in touch and make sure that they continue to know that you care, that's 90% of the game.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to put you on the spot with this last question. It's a bit outside of topic of what we've been talking about. And I'm going to put an asterisk here. I haven't told other people this, but you can't answer with an answer you've already given me. Like, well, I'll ask the question, then I'll tell you.
Well, our tagline is we're the no asterisk company, because we don't believe in guarantees. And then, oh, by the way, here's the small print. So just to let you know, that is actually our tagline. So
Oh,
go ahead.
that's so funny. Okay, so here's a question, and then I'll give you the caveat to the way you can answer this.
Okay.
I'd love for you to share some type of strategy, or if you're open to sharing a tip for something that you've implemented in your own business that's had an impact in some way. Doesn't have to be specific to technology or your CRM, just some type of impact, whether it's on client retention, growth, overall sales, lead management. Now, the caveat here is because we've been talking so much about relationships and getting the buy in, that can't be your answer. So I want to know
That's tough then.
what your answer is. So I'm putting you on the spot. You can think about it of
Oh
what's been
man.
helpful in some way.
Okay. So it can't be about really. Um, Honestly, I mean, I've built this whole business on relationships, so it's going to be tough. Well, I would say that reading books. I mean, this may not be, and I may circle into some other kind of answer while I'm doing this,
There's no right answer. It's all over the board here.
but between, um, well, I've already said two books, so I won't say those. I'll throw another one in, Giftology. I would highly recommend reading that. You don't have to read every business book under the sun. In fact, most business books are you can read the first chapter and then that's basically you've read the
Mhm.
whole thing, and they're just going to reiterate in a different form throughout. Giftology is something that I live by. I lived by it more a few years ago than I do today. But that is, I would say pick up little chunks. You don't have to pick up when you go to a class or when you go to a meeting or when you go to do whatever in life. If you're around somebody and they say something that you feel is profound to you, others might find it profound too. So take a note. Here's another thing is when you meet somebody, and this goes, I'm cheating a little bit because this is the first step in the relationship building. It's not in the relationship. When you meet somebody, and I can't take credit for this. This is a Ryan Serhant thing that I got from him. But again, it's a little nugget that I picked up from somebody, and I've got hundreds of them that I live by. So I'm always trying to emulate things that I see other people do that are either profound to me or they meant something to me, and I think they'll mean something to other people. When you meet somebody and you're on the way out of the building after meeting them, text them and tell them it was wonderful to meet you. You know, if you've gotten a card or if you've gotten something, text them immediately. Say, it's really nice meeting you. Can we grab lunch one day next week? I'd love to continue our conversation. Things like that. When you start off being really interested in somebody and truly hearing them, then everything else starts to, kind of fall into place because people love to talk about themselves, and so
Yeah.
that's if you can get them talking about themselves in a really low key manner, that's key to me. But honestly, go back to just the reading part and taking nuggets. I've done Headway. I've done a couple of those apps where they're kind of Cliff's Notes versions of the books, and I
Yeah.
have a notebook right here. And while I'm listening to it, I write the title of the book at the top, and then I take notes as I'm listening to it, and just the nuggets that I want to keep. So I've got maybe, 150, 200 pages of notes like that. And when I'm free or I've got some downtime, I'll pull that out and just read through it and say, hey, what am I not doing that I should be doing? What am I not portraying or being that I should be being? Um, that's probably just as important is to maintain your own. We can all go out there and just be yourself and things like that. And oftentimes it works really well, but you also have to make sure that you are remembering the things that got you there, and you
Yeah.
can't let the small things slide because they are I say this a lot. A lot of people out there, especially when you get into this business at first, they're immediately worried about, think of their life and their career as a house. This is easy to do because we're in real estate. They get in and they're worried about their flower boxes immediately. They want to make
Mm-hmm.
pretty flower boxes. They want to make sure that the house looks pretty. I'm worried about the foundation.
Okay,
That's
I
it.
have two follow-up questions, and then I won't keep you any longer. So, my first follow-up is you mentioned Giftology.
Mhm.
What is the biggest nugget or takeaway you got from reading Giftology?
It is that when you're in a car with somebody or you're talking to somebody, the house very often isn't the most important thing, right? The house is something that they have to do or it's something that they're
Yeah.
getting to do. but their kids are the most important thing, or their ailing parents are the most important thing, or what is it that you can really listen to and find out what's truly important in this person's life? Because I can almost tell you in every case, it's not this damned house that they're looking at. The house is something that it's fun and it's an adventure, and yeah, it's a big investment, and you want to take very good care of them for that reason. But what really is important to them might be their children. I had a client, and I love these folks. I had clients 4 years ago. They moved here from a city, and they've got two boys. They'd been in an apartment. The boys were like 8 and 6 at the time they moved here. They'd been in an apartment, so they had never had a yard. Well, when they were driving down here, I went to the store and spent a lot on every yard thing you could possibly find: horseshoes, badminton, bocce, footballs, baseballs, baseball gloves, everything that boys could ever want in a yard. And I went inside and I piled it all up like it was Christmas Day, Christmas
Mhm.
morning. And when they got there, it was, it's just thinking about the little things that maybe that are a little bit under the surface is
Yeah.
what technology really made me think about, and making sure that I'm hearing the people and not just I'm not just talking to them about real estate. I'm talking to them as a human being.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, my second follow up is with all of these nuggets that you get and you write it down, so that's good. It's more solidified in your mind. Are there any nuggets that you've had to create a process for, whether it's like a checklist or automated reminders so that you don't forget these things that are important to you?
Hmm. Well, I would go back to the time blocking. Yes. So but it's more of an effect of a nugget. Yeah. A nugget calls me to time block. And it made me realize, hey, I'm losing a lot of time, just sitting here answering the next email. But as far as like a whole process, not that I can recall offhand, but the biggest one for me has been someone mentioning time blocking and then me looking into it and starting to implement it in my life. And that's a daily thing. So yes, that would probably be the one that has led to a process that's lasted for years.
I lied. I have one final question, if that's okay.
I'm,
What
I'm,
does your personal time block look like? I know it can vary from day to day, but what's like perfect day? What does it look like?
so, I'm going to lay out the perfect day, and I'm going to tell you right now, it doesn't happen 90% of the time.
Yeah.
So I think we're all like that. But get up, eat a small breakfast, get a workout in, check emails real quick for like 30 minutes. Don't get sucked into them. Um, do my planning for the following day or the following week, whatever, however many days I don't have laid out in front of me. Especially, I would just say this is a Monday morning. So I'll lay out the rest of my week, and then I will look at whatever. I've got a stack of projects right here on my desk that are printed because I don't do so well with remembering to that I've got to go into some document on my Google Drive. So I'll print out something that reminds me of it, and that way I've got a stack of papers all done like that, and so I pull one off the top, and then I'll start from there, and then I've time blocked for that, and then I'll time block for lunch. I'll time block for a date night with my wife. Things that are really important. And there's another. So Jesse Itzler, this is a really good nugget that I got from him. You have to time block the big things first, because if you think of it as a jar and you've got a bunch of sand and some rocks. The rocks are the really important things in your life, like spending time with your family, going on vacation with your family, things like that. The sand is all of the minutia that gets in the way of the day. If I put the sand in first, I've got no room for the rocks. If I put the rocks into the jar first, plenty of sand gets in there and fills it all up. But you've got to take time for the big things in life first and let everything else fill in. Um, that's just another little nugget, but
Yeah.
that one's really important to me. And actually, that probably would have been my answer to one of your prior questions if I thought about it.
Cool. Well, I appreciate your time. I won't keep you any longer. I've asked you enough questions. You're probably exhausted. But thank you, Thomas. I appreciate not only just sharing your experience with Follow Up Boss and our setup, but your overall real estate journey and where you've come from and where you're planning to go. So I thank you for
Well,
that.
and thank you for having me. I really appreciate everything you've done for me and my company.
Thank you.